Today on the Nerdy Gritty, we talk about Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. While they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep in the details of pop culture. And after many years and a lot of fantastic partnerships, I am here to announce my total acquisition of Fox Incorporated.
And I'm Matt Booty, because that's a funny name. Just kidding, I'm Fox.
Yeah.
Fox Booty.
Fox Booty.
It's a funny name.
Gotta love that Fox Booty.
Does he play a lot of Sea of Thieves?
Because gotta get that booty.
Dang, that is a harsh middle school name. Oof.
Yes.
Oof.
Man, that's, Matt, hey, we're here teasing.
Sorry.
But you know what, man? I'm sure you're a good person.
Yeah, no, hey, not an indictment on your character. You just got a funny last name. You know it. You're not unaware that your name is kind of funny.
Are you married, Matt? Did your wife say, can we maybe take
hey,
my last
Miss
name?
New Booty. Remember that Bubba Sparks song from 12 years ago? No, you don't.
Nope.
Anyway,
hey, we should get to our intro, Fox.
That's fine. Microsoft/Xbox have recently purchased Bethesda.
Yes.
They not recently purchased. The sale finally went through. It was approved. All of that. It went through this week or late last week, whatever.
From when you're listening to it.
And what we're going to be talking about today is just kind of this whole deal. But before we want to do that, we're going to talk about here, what are ways beyond the video games that this acquisition could affect the products of either one?
See, this is what I think is going to be really important here, because Bethesda is known for reinvigorating their old products and returning them to other things.
Yep, and specifically Skyrim.
Windows XP for your refrigerator is what this is
yes!
going to be.
Windows 95.
Here is Windows XP for your cell phone OS.
Oh, score. Nostalgia is big right now.
Man, Windows XP is kind of like the Microsoft nerds' perfect system for whatever it was. Yeah, that's what everyone wants is Windows XP.
I didn't know that.
That was the joke. Oh, okay.
Oh,
but
I didn't know that.
Every update since then has been like people would say downhill, and honestly, it's just new frustrations in circles.
Sure,
but that's what people are.
XP is the one that
people are unwilling to admit.
For you, it's like the D&D 3.5 for a lot of people.
Yeah,
where it's like people have their specific version that they really like, but apparently XP is
what people are willing to admit
loved.
Was XP was the last OS before internet became like absolutely common in every single home.
Yeah.
And so it was one that just couldn't be messed with. They gave you
it was a little more secure.
Yeah, just the perfect system.
Okay, gotcha.
That couldn't be messed with any new downloads.
They couldn't give you any
changes.
bloatware without your permission or anything.
Yeah, and so
that makes sense.
Honestly, it was just simple, and because it was so simple.
Actually, yeah, put that on my phone. Now that you've explained it, I want this.
I don't want internet on my phone.
Stop giving me bloatware on my phone. Stop giving me updates. Just let it be. I think they need to bring Clippy back, but this time it's Doom Guy.
I see you're having trouble spelling this word.
Just shoots misspelled words out of your document.
It's a gaping bloody hole in your paper.
B doesn't really talk. He just rips and tears your document apart.
Oh man, I want exactly that to happen.
Or at least like, Doomslayer, or maybe like the Dragonborn, or just some.
Yeah.
You get Blazkowicz from
BJ Blazkowicz.
Yeah, from Wolfenstein, just in there. Just, hey, it looks like you need help with this. Have you thought about killing Nazis instead?
Fusro grammar check.
Yeah, there's a lot they can do.
Oh,
if they don't do anything beyond just like exclusive games, I'll be pretty disappointed with all this new tech they could use.
We'll talk about this later, but Microsoft has like 15 studios now. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, they're building an empire.
Yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely.
Anyway, what's going on in the news world, Fox?
Hey, you know Roblox?
I do know Roblox.
You ever played it?
No,
me neither. But in 2020, over half of U.S. kids under age 16 played it.
Really?
Over half of kids under 16.
Wow.
But I have never even come close to trying it out or anything. Apparently it's very, very popular, and that has been further confirmed by the fact that it went public recently. Public offering, its IPO, initial public offering on the stock market. And let's see, the company
It
had
is weird how much video games care about stocks now. Thanks, GameStop.
well, I mean, it's just a company in general, but
But
yeah,
the fact that this is news, like that we
sure. Well,
yeah.
here's why it's news.
Okay.
The company ended up with a market capitalization of roughly $45 billion.
Holy crap.
To give you an idea of how huge that is, I'm reading from a Polygon article here. Epic Games, maker of Fortnite and Unreal Engine, was valued in 2020 at $17.3 billion.
This is greater than
They
Epic?
are almost 3 times more valuable than Epic. Now, to be
Holy
fair,
crap.
the Epic valuation was not like their initial public offering. They're still a private company.
Right.
This was
estimation.
an estimation of what they would be worth. So, to use those two standards, yes, Roblox was worth nearly 3 times more than the estimated value of Epic Games.
Well, Fox, I told you last week that I watched Tom and Jerry.
You did.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about this.
I regret that.
Yeah.
You know what would have been much nicer when I tried to watch Tom and Jerry?
If the thing had happened that year, yeah.
If instead I had watched the first hour of the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I saw this. I mean, to be clear, we don't know if that would have been better yet.
That's true. That's a good point.
It might have been. It might have been worse.
So that happened for a while, that a lot of people would go in and try and watch Tom and Jerry.
Yes.
But instead got the first hour of the Snyder Cut.
I am cynical on this one. I think this was intentional and a way to get more people to watch Tom and Jerry.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they leaked, like they did this on purpose, and then it got leaked that, oh man, if you go watch Tom and Jerry, you'll actually get to watch the Snyder Cut. And you got a bunch of people watching Tom and Jerry, even if they did watch, like, so that they could artificially inflate the numbers.
Oh, that would be
It's
devious.
a conspiracy theory. Obviously no evidence of that, but it's definitely true. It just seems like such a dumb thing. Like, how could that possibly happen? If you just, oops, it's an entirely different thing. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I remember years ago when Frozen first came out, there was also a movie called Nymphomaniac that had just come out.
Those
And
sound like very different movies.
There was a Red Band trailer for
Oh,
this movie.
yeah, that's okay. I know the
And
movie you're talking
the
about.
Red Band trailer got played at a Frozen theater, like
Sure.
with moms and their little girls, and they're watching, and like it was this huge deal and whatever else. And I remember thinking to myself, that was intentional. The people who made Nymphomaniac paid this theater a gajillion dollars, because the news articles afterward, nobody would have even heard about Nymphomaniac if there wasn't in the news all over the place.
Well, it would. I mean, here's the thing. No, that would be a very dumb idea for a company to do, because they are entirely different genres. Like, they didn't need to inflate the numbers of
moms and kids
watching, like, no, but yeah, the moms aren't also the parents aren't also bringing their kids to watch Nymphomaniac, and they wouldn't have known it if they didn't artificially put this, like, that one just seems like a mistake.
No,
This one is real, though,
that-
for all the reasons that I believe, and your reasons are wrong. All right, let's get into what we've been up to this week.
I watched a lot of things, but what I definitely want to talk about is I watched Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, you did.
The
You
new
paid. I
Disney
really want to
movie.
see it, but I have less incentive to pay an extra $30.
Yeah, $30.
You have a family that's a steal. So
it is. Yeah, if I
yeah,
were to go
that's
see this
fair.
in a theater, $30 is a steal.
But I am
100%.
looking forward to when they just put it on regular
Right.
Disney Plus. without the-
I won't spoil too much for you.
Sure,
then,
please, thank you.
But it's incredible.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Man, it's really, really good. The story is a little cliched and predictable, but it's a Disney film, so you kind of expect that from Disney films.
Yeah, standard Disney animation
Yeah.
generally doesn't break the mold.
Here's what brings the two things that bring this one over the top. This is an action adventure film, like combat action adventure film.
Oh,
I was watching this film 100% saying, that's Muay Thai. She's doing Muay Thai right
oh,
now.
cool.
That's Kung Fu. She's doing Shaolin,
Yeah,
specifically Shaolin
specific
Kung Fu. Like,
styles. And
you could see the mocap of the people who came in who are masters in these martial arts and doing these things. And oh man, it was cool. It did not just exemplify powerful women in like, ooh, look how strong these women.
look how strong
No,
she is.
These women just are powerful, and it was awesome to
Mm.
watch them fight the way that they did. Like, oh man, they crushed it in that area. So cool to watch. And then on top of that, the animation is stunning.
Hmm.
Raya and the Last Dragon is fantastic. I
Cool.
really loved it. Yeah, go watch it.
I'm gonna start with Cyberpunk 2077.
Ooh,
I am like 2/3 the way through the story. I saw a Steam review that said as wide as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle. And that is a very good way to put this game. It takes a lot of standard, like, it creates a very interesting cyberpunk world where like the human evolution of sorts, human enhancement and all that,
Mhm.
or just modification, is just what the world is now. Like, it's not like, it's weird if you don't. People are just modified. That's just how it goes. And it takes all these, like, it creates this world, and but it does nothing with that beyond just, here's it. There, at 2/3 of the way through the story, I can think of one short conversation where, that wasn't even about anything that was just a decent, conversation about like this person and how they were feeling. There's really nothing that, like, generally the cyberpunk genre, like a lot of sci-fi, this is just the vehicle we're using to tell a human story. It's not about, Blade Runner isn't about the fact that it's a cool robot or whatever. It's about humanity and what it means to be alive and what it means to, respect life and what it means to have value as a person, that kind of thing. This doesn't really do any of that. And it just feels like a wasted opportunity.
I watched a couple of movies that are similar to one another. I watched The Shadow, starring Alec Baldwin,
Oh, yeah.
and Dick Tracy, starring dang it, I can't remember his
Alec
name.
Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, yes, but both movies are kind of like 1930s serial based on like radio shows,
Yeah, like a
type of thing. Yeah,
homage.
yeah, and Warren Beatty. There it is.
Okay.
Good grief. Both movies were so much fun. Like, really great. I will say Dick Tracy's soundtrack was written by Stephen Sondheim, who is a legend. And I don't think it could have more clearly been ripping off Danny Elfman's original Batman. Like,
yeah. When you think The Shadow,
like, oh no, this is Dick Tracy's.
Oh, Dick Tracy.
Like, there were moments and it was like da 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 da, like whatever. But there would be,
to
like,
be
that
fair,
little
they all
climb.
could be homage to earlier things also, because
I guess
Batman
that's
was
true.
to a certain extent an homage to classic, like, noir.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is also
But
supposed to be
still,
noir and
it does have
whatnot.
specific themes.
Like, oh my gosh, like there were more than once that I'm like, this is Danny Elfman's theme. Like, I expected it to say Danny Elfman at the end when it said Stephen Sondheim. I was like, you are a Tony Award winning writer.
on, man.
You don't need to be ripping off Danny Elfman. Come on. But The Shadow, on the other hand, again, both really fun movies, well worth the watch. It was fun to see Ian McKellen and Tim Curry with just awful American accents in The Shadow.
Fun.
By the end of The Shadow, Tim Curry had just abandoned his American accent. It was like Jack Nicholson in The Departed, where it's like, you've given up, haven't you?
Yeah.
You don't have an accent anymore. But man, I had honestly, I just had a lot of fun watching those movies. So
okay.
yeah, it was good.
I've got several movies to talk about, but I'm going to first talk about Children of the Atom #1, which I talked to you about a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
It is a new title in the Dawn of X. It's actually Reign of X right now, but the mutant group of books coming out from Marvel. It revolves around characters who have powers similar to many of the main X-Men. You got Cyclops Lass, who is clearly Cyclops, but a teenage girl. And you've got Gimmick, who is clearly Gambit, but a teenage girl. And you've got Cherub, who is clearly Angel, but a more buff guy. And, and then a couple others. And I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to get too deep into the details of pop culture, because that's not what we do here.
Never.
But it seems like it's going to go into the realm of, like, cultural appropriation and, like, identity and, like, identifying as something that you might not originally be, or like just the idea of, even if it's done from a place of respect, I'm really excited for where it goes, and I'm hoping they lean into the possibility here, because that's a touchy subject, but that's what X-Men has, like, that's what
That's what
mutants
they've
and
done well,
X-Men
man,
has
yeah.
always supposed to be, is a place to talk about identity and how, and like relations between races and people, and who we are and what separates us, but what also unites us. And I'm really hoping they lean into it, and I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Well, on the notes of books, I finished comic books to regular books. I finished the Sawbones book recently.
Yeah,
And this is a book written by Justin and Sydney McElroy, who are the hosts of the podcast Sawbones, where they talk about medical history. So reading this book was so much fun. I feel like I'm smart now because I read a book about medical history, but also Justin went in every once in a while and just like he quips on everything and
Injects some
jokes.
humor.
Yeah, and it was a really, really fun read.
Yeah, they work well together. They should get married. Okay, so hold on.
They
Hold
are
on.
married, to be clear.
Yeah, they are married. They're McElroys. I got to put on my top hat,
Oh no!
and my monocle.
I'm
put
gonna
that in.
I'm gonna go
Oh
somewhere
wait,
else
hold on.
for a
I gotta
while.
clean it off.
I gotta go do something for a little bit.
Now get my cane out, and now I'm in my Mr. Peanut
Yeah,
cosplay.
yeah. Now put all that away.
Put that
and now
away.
Now get your old camera, your Polaroid camera,
Yeah,
and your scarf.
my scarf and
that's
my
more what this is.
non-GMO
Yeah,
kombucha.
100%. Yes, that's what this is. Anyway,
It's time to talk about some international film festival films that I've watched. Basically, it's about a father who is trying to get into Israel to get to his son who is in the hospital. He was hit by a car. But he does not have the proper identification or legal ability to get through the wall, get over the checkpoint into Israel. And so it's about him basically trying to get there, trying to smuggle his way in. And it's a good, tense thriller, essentially, of like, you don't know who you can trust. You don't know what's going to happen next. Really good, tense scenes of what's going to happen next. At the same time, again, you are learning a little bit about this, like, political conflict and how, even though it's fictional, how people on the ground who are living there see what's going on. At the same time, it's also a like moving family drama. Last one I watched this morning has been my favorite so far, Identifying Features. This is a Mexican movie about a mother who is searching for her son who has been missing for 2 months after he left with a friend for a job in America. And so it's essentially her journey to find out what happened, to find his body if it's somewhere, maybe not. And it is rough in a way that kind of, it's a commentary mostly on just the stranglehold and they make a very clear statement of the, what are they called? Cartels are evil. Not just doing bad things. Not just, criminals, evil.
Yep.
Devil imagery involved. And it is very rough, but it is also very good.
Well, on an absolutely different note.
I'm sure most things are different.
Yeah. I kickstarted something a few days ago. Yeah. So this is my encouragement to you guys to go kickstart this. It's a Kickstarter that had a goal of $200,000 and reached 2.5 million in one day.
Yep.
And it's called Pixels. It's a D20 set that is filled with LEDs.
Oh, I think I've seen these.
And it connects with Bluetooth to your phone or your tablet so that you can program what to light up, when to light up, what lights up when what numbers come up or whatever else. So if you hit on a 12 or above, you set it to turn one color for 12 or above and another color for 11 or below.
That's really fun.
Or what if it's a natural 20, you do the spinning sparkle and it just goes through all the colors or whatever else. Also, because it connects, it has full integration with Roll20, D&D Beyond, Foundry, whatever else.
That's so cool.
You can roll in real life, and the numbers will pop up in game.
So as a DM, if you're wondering if your players are cheating,
it's right there. No more cheating.
Oh man,
this is super cool.
Yeah.
My favorite part about it, when it really tipped me over the edge to backing it, was it's open source and open hardware.
Oh, okay.
So immediately anybody's going to be able to mess with it, figure it out. And so I guarantee you that
there's going to be mods and
all kinds of amazing things that are going to be able to happen here. This is going to end up saving me money in the long run. This will be the last set of dice that I buy. So
I don't believe you. But okay, sure. And I certainly don't believe that about your wife.
No, definitely not her. I'm saying that for me. I am not going to say it for her. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's all I got too.
That's all. I mean, there are other things, but stuff we can talk about later.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Oh, let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
Yeah,
we have
let's
to say
do that.
Nerdy gritty or something, whatever.
Is that when we do
That's
that?
our podcast.
I forgot. I don't listen to this thing.
Hey, if you're listening to this part right now, though, it is you listen to a cut version. Wow, I messed that up from the very beginning.
Yeah, you can give it another try if you want.
Nope, this is it. We're sticking with it.
Oh, okay.
This is an edited version of the podcast, and that means everything before this has been cut down, make it a little bit quicker, a little more palatable for the casual listener. Everything after this is totally uncut. You got that raw, uncut nerdy gritty after this, the pure stuff.
That pure, uncut Colombian nerdy gritty.
But if you enjoy listening to us banter and laugh about things and hearing about what we've been up to or different news articles or whatever else, we encourage you to go over to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/DesmondFox and become a subscriber to or a patron of ours. And at the second tier above, you get access to the director's cut of the nerdy gritty. This is an unedited version, sometimes up to half an hour or 45 minutes more content, usually at least 20 minutes-ish of more content of us just chatting about what's been going on in our nerd lives and whatnot. So we would really appreciate that kind of support. If that's not a support you can give, though, we really appreciate it when you just let your friends know, tell your family, shout us out on the internet.
Tell your priest.
Tell your priest, hey, I am confessing many things, but one thing I do not need to confess.
I confess that I love the nerdy gritty.
I love the nerdy gritty, a wholesome podcast for wholesome nerds. So yeah, that'd be great. Just let people know. Either way, we appreciate that you're listening to us at all. With that being said, though, let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
So this week, as we mentioned before, the final whatever regulatory obstacles that were needed.
This is the final regulatory obstacles that were needed.
Okay, still going. You good? Okay. This is all getting cut out, so you can go as long as you want. Oh my goodness. The final regulatory obstacles that were needed to be overcome for the Bethesda Microsoft partnership acquisition. To be clear, not a partnership.
No.
Not financially.
No.
This is a
Microsoft
purchase.
owns them now.
Microsoft/Xbox owns Bethesda now. That has finally gone through. It was announced a couple months ago, but it just needed to clear some of those, regulatory approvals. So it has happened. It is an official. The ink is dry. It's been signed. And kind of to celebrate, I think yesterday, as of recording this, there was a joint roundtable discussion between higher ups at Xbox and higher ups at Bethesda, talking about ostensibly what this is going to mean for the future of mostly Bethesda.
Right.
And what we want to talk about today is, some highlights. I have some highlights here from that, some things they talked about that I think are interesting to discuss, as well as, is this going to be anything more than just a hyped up buyout of a company? It happens all the time. Microsoft, as you said before, now has like 15 different studios in its stable that it has purchased, that it, that were used to be at least independent in some way, or, so is this just anything more than that? Is there something beyond that? They also talked about the fact that this has been announced. Some future Bethesda games will be exclusive on the Xbox. We'll talk about how would that work well? What games might they do? Things like that. So we're going to talk about this in general. But first, let's kind of talk about some specific things from this roundtable. This was some pretty familiar names. You had Todd Howard there. Todd! You had Pete Hines, who is like the marketing director or
right.
something, PR or whatever. You had
Phil Spencer?
Phil Spencer?
The Xbox guy?
Xbox? Okay, yeah. And for some reason I was thinking of Phil Spector. That's a very different person. He is a murderer.
Oh, why do you know who Phil Spector is?
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Lots of people there from both companies talking about how they feel about this. Obviously, it was very positive. This to be fair and to be quite honest, I stopped watching about halfway through because kind of evolved.
It was pretty boring.
It kind of evolved into it's more of like a corporate like press release, but in verbal form,
Right.
for an hour. And they didn't really also throughout the thing, they never really made any announcements about upcoming games or anything. There wasn't anything new. It was basically all about company future.
Let me be clear.
Yeah.
There are things to talk about here, but if I could sum it all up for you, they spent an hour and a half-ish,
About an hour.
saying, we're going to work together now.
We're going to work together and we're all happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, let's talk about some of the specific things that I think we could, get a little more into.
Right.
Okay. So toward the beginning, one of the, I think, she was a Microsoft person. I forget. She was like the head of the partnership between them. I forget her name.
Bond?
Yes, Bond. Sarah Bond.
Sarah Bond, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for remembering that.
Yep.
You couldn't think of, let's see. You said you couldn't think of the future of gaming without Xbox, referring to one of the Bethesda people.
Yeah.
We didn't see a future of Xbox without Bethesda. And that, how I took it was, like, how it was meant to be was Bethesda's important to gaming.
Right.
But the cynical part of me was Xbox needs this. Needs this bad because they're been floundering. Not floundering.
No.
Let's be fair.
No.
Floundering. Falling behind their main competitor, PlayStation, in a
Yes.
big way. And this
Very
is
much
something that could potentially
No.
do good for them.
I will say that I have been very impressed with Microsoft's moves recently.
Yes. We've talked about that a lot.
Right. I took some pictures during their presentation here, just of like their screen. They're showing off some of the studios they have now: 343 Industries, Compulsion, Double Fine, Mojang, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, and now Bethesda.
Yeah, Mojang's
Rare.
a big one, obviously.
Yeah, Rare, just outstanding studios that are all part of Microsoft now, and will likely be making exclusive Microsoft games.
Yes.
But on the flip side of things, what they're competing with is Bend Studio, Guerrilla Games, Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Let's see, Sony Santa Monica, Sucker Punch. They're competing. Microsoft has a lot of real fun developers out there that can make some pretty cool things.
Yeah, and have made really cool things.
Right. But as far as AAA titans of the industry, Bethesda's kind of the first one that
Bethesda's
they picked
one,
up.
the biggest name so far. Like Rare would have been this if it were 15 years ago,
Right,
when they were kings of video games.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like, we didn't see a future of Xbox without Bethesda. Yeah, to me that kind of signaled we kind of needed this. It's not. Look, it could be both. That you're important, and also please be on our team.
I will say, I think this is mutual. Bethesda is also floundering a little bit.
Sure. Bethesda has a pretty big PR problem as of the last couple of years.
Right, with Fallout 76, and then just with not a lot of new great IP that's been coming out. Bethesda's kind of been short. They showed off Elder Scrolls 6 years ago, and now
they didn't show it off. They showed
a
title
logo
screen.
Right, yeah. And there's just so much of this disappointment with Bethesda right now. They still make great games. They still have great stuff out there, but it's just been a lot of nothing recently and disappointment. I think they really could use each other, and I think this is a great thing for both of them. I really do.
I 100% understand why Bethesda would, or at least I guess ZeniMax would sell to Bethesda.
Right.
Because this is a big financial boon.
Yes.
For them, and also possibly new IP to be able to work with. Next line that I wanted to point out, this is just important for us specifically. Pete Hines said, "I listened to the podcast," in referencing just like hearing what people are saying. So Pete Hines is a Nerdy Gritty fan.
Yep,
confirmed.
Big fan of Nerdy Gritty.
He heard what we said, and that was specifically. He just couldn't say it because we'd have to charge him a lot of money for using our title.
And they're kind of short on cash.
They're short on cash, yeah. And so we understand, we get it. But he winked a little, like right at the camera. And I know he was looking at us.
He mouthed.
Yeah, specifically.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. Here's another line that came that they said, this was one of the biggest things that people want to know about is, what does it mean when you say future Xbox games will be exclusive to or
Right.
future Bethesda games will be
Will be
exclusive? That was one of the big things people were wanting to know about. What specifically do you mean? Which games? What kind of exclusivity? That kind of thing. If you're an Xbox customer, I want you to know this is about delivering great exclusive games that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists, was the specific line. Obviously signaling Game Pass is also on PC, is also on Windows.
Right.
So that will also, they won't necessarily be Xbox system exclusives. They will be possibly on your PC as well. And actually today, as we're recording, it was the next day when they did this thing, but today I think it's 20 different Bethesda games have gone live on the Xbox Pass, on the Game Pass. And it's a pretty good selection. Like, it's got a lot of good stuff on there, including like Doom Eternal, a very recent, very good game, things like that. So let's talk about here a little bit about what it could mean in the future, exclusivity for this. We can make predictions what they'll go with. Would it be a good thing for them to do this? Would it be hurtful to them in the long run? How do you think Xbox should approach exclusivity with these new huge titles that they could potentially use?
Something we've talked about before is that I'm not going to say I'm pro exclusivity, that I like exclusivity.
Sure.
But I very much see how exclusivity benefits it's like the way people talk about capitalism, where competition breeds success.
In theory, yes.
Yeah. And so in this way, I think this is a much less harmful way of that.
Because it's not something people need to, it's not the economic system, it's video games.
Yeah. But where competition breeds success in this, very, very much so.
Yeah.
Where because this is exclusive, they want this game to be a game that's not just going to sell the game, it's going to sell the console as well. And I think we've seen that with incredible Sony exclusives that have sold the console. Horizon, God of War,
Final Fantasy VII
Final
Remake.
Fantasy. Yeah, like there's so many incredible
Ghost of Tsushima,
exclusives.
Last of Us, lots of great stuff.
Absolutely. Where Microsoft, that is where they fail.
Yeah.
That is where they fail.
They have a few small exclusives like Forza and in theory Halo eventually.
Well, I will say that even their exclusives that they have are losing ground.
Yeah.
Halo is not the powerhouse that it used to be.
100%, yeah.
People who love Halo now are already Xbox fans.
Yes.
It's not the other way around. It used to be that people want to buy an Xbox for Halo. Now people love Halo because they like Xbox.
Yes, that's fair.
And that's really it. And so Forza is an incredible sim game.
Sure, it's if
you like racing
you like
games.
racing games,
Yeah,
which is a niche genre.
A very niche genre. So they're floundering hugely on this, but being able to get that foot in on the open world fantasy games, Bethesda rocks that.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, some of the big ones they could do. Elder Scrolls 6, the future of Fallout games, Starfield.
Yeah.
Their apparently upcoming open world, like outer space sci-fi game that's very hotly anticipated.
This is going to be something that I think will be huge, again, for both teams, because on top of this, not that Bethesda was short on money or manpower, but they have more of both now.
Sure, yeah. More resources. I think that's the big benefit here is they just are now a part of the hive and have the resources of Microsoft.
And then, of course, you all can always have your crossovers, like, your Master Chief skin for Starfields or whatever else.
I want to run around Skyrim as the Master Chief.
We joked about that earlier, yeah. Or you could run around Skyrim with a what's the blade?
Oh yeah, it's called a lightsaber, I think.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Whatever that blade is in Halo.
Oh, whatever.
This is not the gesture I'm making.
No, you're not making. Please don't do that anymore. I think it's called a space sword.
No, it's gonna drive me nuts.
I think it's called a science knife.
Science knife. Halo
We're gonna look this up.
Sword. No,
we're gonna
Halo
look this up, aren't we?
Sword.
This matters.
And it's just called an energy sword.
Energy sword. That's barely different than what I said.
Wow, that's it. It's just called an energy sword?
The energy
That's
sword.
stupid.
Sure. Yeah, that one.
Come up with a better name, guys. Energy sword is stupid.
That's what it is, though.
Call it like a plasma blade or something like that. Jeez.
But what if there's no plasma involved?
What is energy?
Okay, let's move on. This not the topic we need to really get into.
Either way, I think this is something that will be a boon to each of them, particularly in the exclusivity markets. This Bethesda is something that can compete. Bethesda is the AAA powerhouse that Microsoft needs. They really are.
Yeah, what's going to be it? I mean, we'll talk about if what they could do to, if there was something they did, something specific, if it would make us buy an Xbox because of it. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I think if they were to make something big, like if the next Fall or the next Elder Scrolls was exclusive, I'd be disappointed. But I couldn't really I couldn't complain, because they're a company that get to make that decision. It's not really affecting me in any way other than I want to play that game. But also, I'm not complaining about Last of Us being exclusive because I already have the system. I'm just I have that privilege of already having it, so I can play it already. It's just a disappointment more than it is an injustice. There's not really any reason why they can't be exclusive. There's philosophical reasons, but they get to do what they want. And so it'd be a little disappointing, but not for any real reason.
I was thinking to myself as we're having this conversation, what sort of benefit would Microsoft get if they turned around and said, we will no longer provide exclusive video games. Our software is something that should be enjoyed on all systems. I don't think that would make them any money. I think it would be of zero benefit to them.
It would be a nice, wow, that's a cool, open philosophy to have. We like the mindset of that.
Right.
But then PlayStation would continue to pump out extremely good first-party exclusive titles, and I'd continue to buy Sony systems because
knowing that you can just play Microsoft
I can play
stuff
both
there
on there anyway.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at there already because I have a decent enough PC that
Game Pass
apparently
works
they're
fine.
going to put all, even if they're exclusive, they'll be on PC anyway, so I'll just play them there.
Which, and here's what I will say. I think Game Pass and exclusivity will actually be better for Microsoft. I think Microsoft is getting to the point where they don't care about consoles anymore. If you were going to pay them, what is it, $10 a month for Game Pass?
Something like that.
Let's say it's $10
Close.
a month.
Yeah.
It's $120 a year. How long is a console cycle? An average of 7 years. That's $800, almost $900 that you're paying them every console cycle. How much is a console usually? $500.
Yeah.
You're paying them more for Game Pass than you would for a console.
Yeah.
And so they're fine with this. This is
Sure.
pure money for them.
And for the consumer, you don't have to then purchase games to play. You get the console, then you have to purchase the games to play on there.
Right.
The only problem is Game Pass, you don't get to control what games you can play or when they're no longer available to be played.
Right.
That's the real downfall of Game Pass to me is sure, they have, even if you want to play Fallout 76, it's on there right now. Will it always be?
Right.
This is a persistent online game. And if I get super invested in it and then I can't play it anymore, I'm pretty disappointed at this. So that's the trade-off there, is a lack of control over what and when you can play it. So, I mean, they usually have a pretty good stable of a good lineup of pretty good games, and then a lot of maybe lesser known or, middle of the road games. But that's the real danger there, is how long we'll be able to play this game that I really want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Have you put too many games on there that I really want to play and I won't be able to get to them all? That kind of thing. Another line I want to get to here from Todd Howard, old Todd, on the acquisition. Here's what he specifically said: "We're going to make the best games we can possibly make." Sorry,
Wow, yeah, I want to take that
That's
again.
a bad one. "We're going to make the best games we can possibly make by doing this," referring specifically to the acquisition, to being bought, and agreeing to this essentially. How will the games be? I mean, we talked about how they might have more resources,
Right.
but that to me, that was a corporate propaganda line of, this is good. Sometimes I really wonder, is Todd Howard okay with this? Is he actually okay with this? Is he out there because he's contractually obligated? Or is he genuinely cool, now we get to do, or is it we were starting to fall apart and this will save us, and we'll get to make those games that will those games can exist for sure now.
So in his defense, here's what I think we can extrapolate from this. Number one, this is absolutely security for Bethesda Studios.
Yes, pretty strong security. Yeah,
it will take a huge failure for them to close Bethesda Studios, for Microsoft to close that.
Right.
Whereas ZeniMax, I mean, Bethesda is a huge thing for them, but that's not their focus.
It's the only thing I know ZeniMax has. I mean, I don't know anything about ZeniMax, but yeah.
Whereas Xbox, Microsoft Studios, Xbox, video games are their focus.
Yes.
And so they're going to hang on to Bethesda. They're going to treat it well. That is their focus. They're going to know how to treat them well, what to do to treat them and give them successful things. And then second of all, Bethesda was kind of its own entity anyway. Now it's its own entity, exactly what it was before, plus whatever benefits could come from Microsoft and Xbox. I feel like this has only been an upgrade for Bethesda.
I mean, we can't tell what's going on behind the scenes, but it is certainly possible also that maybe behind the scenes this is a detriment. What if there is a stronger, like a big like control from
that's a good point.
What if they have less freedom now? I don't think that'll be the case.
Right.
But it's certainly possible. And
that's a good point.
The way they talked about it definitely kind of signaled it's not that way. They've talked about planning. They've talked about how this is just we just wanted to have them under our umbrella and give them all the opportunities they needed.
That seems to have been Microsoft's mantra for the studios that it buys is we're here to give you support and so that we can utilize the games that you make.
Right.
Other than that, we want you just to make your games.
Which would be the only decision if they want to be smart about it. Like,
right.
Let creative people do the creative thing, and don't make too many stupid business decisions that affect the people being able to interact with that game and play it. Like, don't try to force in, alternative methods of monetization that make the game a worse experience, things like that. Like, that would be the smartest way to do it, is let your people let them make the games they want to make. Be the one that bankrolls it,
Yeah, and
then reap the rewards.
Exactly, they will reap the rewards for it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about exclusives. What games do you think would be smart, or do you just expect them to maybe specifics, or maybe even just specific like studios or genres or whatever? Like, what would be exclusive? What would be the smart path for them, since they've confirmed this will be happening?
I think the smartest path would be to make everything exclusive. Anything that comes from Bethesda. Bethesda is a big enough name that exclusivity, if you put Bethesda's name on it, exclusivity is attractive to people. If you say the next Ninja Theory game, sure, cool, that's awesome, I'm glad. But if you say the next Bethesda game, that gets people's attention.
So you mean smart in like a financial sense, like smart for them because then they will be the sole source of income.
Right.
You'll have to get their
That's
console
the only place
or
to
the
go.
Game Pass to play. Okay.
Because let's be clear, Microsoft doesn't need you to buy Bethesda games for them to make money. They're going to get a lot of money
lots of different sources.
And so really what's smarter for them is to get people more desiring Microsoft products. Like, yeah, sure, I want Game Pass. Yes, I want Xbox One X. I want your not One X. What's the new one? Series X, Xbox Series R, whatever.
One of those.
Make them. I don't own them.
They did a bad job naming these systems.
I have no idea.
The newest Xbox.
Just put a number after them, guys. Anyway, whatever it is, this is what's going to make their product more attractive for you to go to them.
Sure.
I think they bought Bethesda not to sell more Bethesda games, but for Bethesda to sell more Microsoft.
Yeah, that makes sense. I bristle at it because I'm used to being able to play them.
Right.
And as of right now, I don't have an Xbox. I don't have a subscription to Game Pass. It wouldn't be out of the question to get one of those for me. Like, I'm privileged enough that I'd be able to, but as of right now, I would not be able to. If Elder Scrolls 6 came out tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to play it. Now, that's only I'm used to that because I've always had access, but also like I've always had access to Naughty Dog games, and like I'm just used to the fact that Naughty Dog games are on PlayStation. I've always had PlayStation and Santa Monica Studios, which is really at this point just God of War. Like, they changed their name, but several studios that are PlayStation exclusive only, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like, I don't even think of them as exclusive because that's what they've always been in a way. I don't know, like they are exclusive, but it's just like, yeah, that's just how it's like. That's the nature of it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's a standard, not a new thing that I have to reconcile with, and so I don't even think about it as much. So that would be the smartest financially. They still do have to maintain that the thing that we've talked about a lot, that audience company relationship, though. And I don't think they would gain a lot of good PR points if they came out and said everything this studio makes is now exclusively on Xbox.
I don't think they'll say it. I don't think they'll come out and be like,
well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if
but
they say it or not. If it turns out to be true,
I think that they could, because how often is Bethesda going to come out with a AAA game? Once every 3 years?
every couple of years, yeah,
Every couple of years?
yeah.
I think they could go for 6 years
Well,
before somebody
no.
starts saying, wait a second, every game Bethesda puts out is exclusive.
Here's the thing: Bethesda is not just Bethesda developed games. Bethesda is also machine games. Bethesda is also games that Bethesda publishes. So like the Wolfenstein series, you the Prey series, Dishonored, you have not Deathloop. Deathloop is the same developer, not the same publisher. But you have lots of series that have been historically published by Bethesda, and obviously you can find a different publisher, but there's already that relationship in place. So it's not just Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
It's potentially a lot of series that people love that are affected by this. So it wouldn't necessarily just be every 3 or 4 years. It could be several games a year. Smaller games not developed by Bethesda, but Bethesda might have a continuing like exclusivity contract. Like you Machine Games, if you're making the series, we're publishing it. That kind of thing. There's a lot that could go into this. It could be more than just those big series.
Yeah. The reality is I really think Microsoft needs them to be exclusive, though. And I think that's Microsoft why they have them.
Yeah.
And it would absolutely be better for Bethesda if it was, for everybody, if it was not exclusive. But I feel like Microsoft needs those exclusives.
Yeah.
That is where they are failing. Like, that is the place where they are failing.
I think what would be a good compromise is something that happens a lot already is timed exclusivity.
Right. I mean, everybody's talking about Deathloop. That's a timed exclusive, right?
Yeah, on PlayStation, yeah. Usually that's like a whole year.
Yeah.
I think that could be a little extreme. You had Borderlands 3 was on the Epic storefront for 6 months before it came out somewhere else.
Right.
And
everybody threw a tantrum?
Yeah, everybody threw a tantrum because people don't like the Epic storefront. Sure. But like, I think that's kind of the best of both worlds. You get that early exclusive, like, this is the big thing that's new, and 6 months down the road, you'll be able to play it, but it won't be that thing that everybody loves anymore.
Right.
You have already missed the hype train. I think the hype train, hype is so important in the game cycle nowadays that if comes out 6 months later and it doesn't have that, it's just like a subnote in an article or something where it just says, oh, and also you can play it here 6 months, but right now you can play it, that kind of thing. I think timed exclusivity would be a good route.
Maybe, I think 3 months is a good
3 or 6 months, whatever.
There.
Sure, yeah, something that's just like, if you want to play it now, if it's something you're really looking forward to, you'll have to.
Particularly if
we'll
Sony,
let you play it later, but
if Sony keeps being so stingy with crossplay, because then let's say that they are going to do whatever multiplayer shooter or a Fallout game that's going to come out, and you say, me and my friends are all going to get it on Xbox, and we're going to get to play for 3 months, and we're going to level up. And
yeah. Oh, and we'll have to power level you or whatever when you come in.
But then Sony, you come in like, well, I got a PlayStation, and I'm not going to be able to play with you. Sony doesn't do crossplay.
Yeah.
They're being real stingy with this still. So
okay.
I guess, yeah. So
I guess I'll subscribe.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good idea.
I think that makes the most sense. Timed exclusivity, I mean, in practicality, to me, is essentially the same thing as permanent exclusivity, because I think that initial drop of a game is financially definitely the most important
wholeheartedly
part.
That's pre-order
opening.
Pre-orders,
Yeah, because you make money after that. But a lot of Bethesda's games, except for 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, are single-player games that have DLC drops, but they are not games as a service where you can have a consistent revenue stream. So that opening hype train, drop this game now, that's when you need to make that money.
Yep.
So I think timed exclusivity. Is there a game? There's a kind of a new question, but similar. Is there a game? Is there something, a move that they could make here where they announce it, this is happening, and you say, okay, that has sealed the deal. I am now getting an Xbox or going to PC, Game Pass it.
No.
No?
I've thought about it a lot.
Really?
No. Any game that they've put out recently, I have not really gotten into. I was way into Fallout 3. I played a little bit. I own and played 10, 15 hours of Fallout 4. Didn't really get into it.
Really?
Never played 76.
I've gotten into 4 way more.
3 was just one of the ones where, like, the first kind of huge open world I ever experienced.
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah, that was Morrowind for me.
Yeah.
Another Bethesda game.
Yeah. But I thought about Elder Scrolls. I played probably 50 hours of Skyrim, but not the 250 that I put into Oblivion.
Oh, yeah, I put in, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We are different then, because if they were to say, hey, Elder Scrolls 6 will be an exclusive, even if it's a timed exclusive, there's a good solid chance that I will do the monthly lease version of a new Xbox. I think that one would be for sure. Probably not Fallout. Maybe even if it's a third party, if it's like the next Wolfenstein or the next Doom, I'd be into that. Also, like, I have always said, we've talked about it a lot, that we think the most important part of a system is the software that it has, the games that they put out. There are other important things. The hardware is good, whatever, lots of stuff. But if you don't have games I want to play, then I'm not going to buy it. I'm not
Your
going
hardware
to play
does
it.
nothing for me.
And so therefore, if your new system has exclusive games that I genuinely want to play now, I'll do it. Like, I'll be fair. I will buy your system. And so, then the double whammy is, I can pay a monthly price that I did the math. If I bought a Xbox Series S or X, either one is technically cheaper in the long run than buying it outright so like, that's actually another, there's a lot of benefits here, but as of right now, none of those benefits are enough. I guess exclusivity would be the benefit that puts it over the edge, because right now nothing is they haven't done enough to make me want. So.
And I'll say I am a unique situation where it took me 3 weeks to beat the 5-hour game of Little Nightmares.
Sure, that's fair.
I'm still playing Bloodborne,
That's
the Old
fair.
Hunters. The vast majority, as a father of 3 and somebody who is basically a part-time teacher's aide with stay-at-home learning and whatnot, there's our gaming time for our co-op stuff, and then I probably play an extra 2 hours of games a week.
You have less for you, getting something right off the bat and just diving into it is really not plausible. For me, that is.
Right. So when I think about dumping 100 hours into a new Elder Scrolls game, that's just not attractive to me.
Sure.
I'll be playing that game for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So
and, might not even think about it until a couple months after it comes out anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So that's fair. Anything else that strikes you as important or interesting about this whole
More than
acquisition?
anything, I'm just going to reiterate that this is a great move for both of them, and the more time passes, the more I'm eyeballing the new Xbox. Like, maybe I will.
Yeah. I'm wondering, though, at what point are we going to start seeing news about, are we getting to, what's the, not Monopoly, but like it's like when internet companies or whatever, where they kind of, okay, these are our games, these are our sections, these are like, they have agreements where it's technically not Monopoly, but
that faux Monopoly,
you don't have a choice. When are we going to get to the point where there's not really any ability to compete anymore? Like, we're already at a point where introducing a new system fails pretty quickly. The Stadia died very fast. The Switch is very successful. It's doing its own thing, but it's still a system. You basically have 3 big systems.
Yeah.
And if we want more competition, if we're saying that competition and exclusivity breeds better games, better experiences in the gaming realm, when are we going to get to the point where it's just 3 big companies that own every studio?
I think you're too focused on consoles right now.
Okay.
So, because I think that I would not be surprised if this is Microsoft's last console that they ever make.
Well, sure, but it would still be Microsoft owning these studios.
But once it becomes commonplace that games are playable on a PC, that all games are PC games now, you just need Sony's software or Microsoft's software, whatever else. Once you do that, making your game and putting it out on Steam is free.
Yeah, that's fair.
And there are so many incredible games that you can get on Steam, like that are not owned by Sony or Microsoft.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
we're moving to a place where consoles are going to be probably a thing of the past. Not I don't think anytime soon in general. I think there will still be dedicated gaming consoles for a good long while, but yeah, that's fair. Steam is the Wild West still, or it's just a wasteland still.
Or Epic Game Store.
Epic, yeah, there's any number of online storefronts.
Like Fortnite's not hurting because it's not on a I mean, it is on consoles.
It is on
now,
consoles, but it doesn't.
That it's not owned by Sony or Microsoft.
Mostly successful because it's on mobile.
Right.
So that's fair. Okay. Yeah, we're not at that point yet where it's like we have to get in and break up the big game companies.
And when you get games like Undertale that come in and it's just a single dev that he's like, I'm gonna make a great game, and it becomes this massive hit.
Right. That still exists.
Yeah, that's fair. Still do that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, that's what we got, guys. We want to know what you think about the Microsoft Bethesda combination, their acquisition, and what's going to come of it. What do you think of our opinions, our thoughts on it? Want to say a big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do some of my neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Go check out their stuff. It's good stuff.
Do it.
Todd.
Go check out our YouTube channel. We've got currently right now my playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2 is up there. It is no commentary.
Mm-hmm.
I figured my dumb voice would just get in the way of the very well-crafted dialogue, as well as just enjoying the Wild West countryside. It's a beautiful game. So anyway, no commentary playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2 is going up, as well as our lots of commentary, goofy playthrough of Katamari Damacy reroll.
No, that's starting today as we record this.
Sure, so it's up as you hear this.
As you get this.
Plus a million other games, almost literally.
Hopefully, no, I don't want to dedicate anything because again,
You've done this so many times.
With the challenge. But hopefully,
my
playthrough of Old Hunters will be coming through soon.
Okay.
I know I'm in the last area, so
okay, good.
But the last boss,
you're about to fight the oldest of
the
hunters.
hardest boss in the entire game, actual game and DLC.
He's made of obsidian.
Incredible. So, well, that would actually be diamond. Is the hardest mineral? I guess if you're talking about
we're talking about in Minecraft.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Also, join our Discord. We've got a link down below in the description. We talk about these things outside of the nerdy gritty with people on there. We want to hear your voice, and also we'll just talk about random things and share memes, and it's a good time. So please join us on our Discord.
Thanks again for listening, guys, and always remember that save games, save lives.
Bye.
My voice is all